from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God, have faith also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If there were not, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also may be. Where I am going, you know the way." And Thomas said to him, "Master, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" And Jesus said to him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Please be seated. As we gather, and as we already hear so many different images that come before us, and as I was struck by the prelude song today, it's a great favorite of mine, that surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. And from there, as we recognize just so many different images that came through in the readings and in our prayers and our coming together, and in the eulogy that was shared, that was reminding us that in so many different ways in Edna's life, she was always looking for that presence of God, and always in her life putting Christ before her, behind her, around her, to her left, to her right, many of the wonderful aspects that come through in that breastplate that is attributed to St. Patrick. You know, as we gather and we hear, and then in the readings that you chose, and actually I thought you liked Proverbs so much you were going to read it twice, but, you know, just to underscore those wonderful characteristics about a wife and a husband and a marriage and living together. And, you know, that wife that does so much in caring for the poor, the needy, and those around her family, being a witness and example in life for others, and all of that which is to be cherished. So, you know, it's a wonderful reading to reflect on as you listen to Edna's life and the many different aspects of that life. And then to realize in the second reading today that nothing will ever separate us from the love of God, and not even death. And as we gather here today, it's because of that faith. And it's that faith that she was nourished in for many years in her life, to trust in the Lord and to believe that those promises of God would be fulfilled in life. And then to live one's life from that perspective and to put that into practice, which is the call of every disciple. And then for the disciples in the gospel, as they're gathered around and Jesus is preparing to leave them, and he says, "Well, you know the way." And, you know, Thomas, who can respond, "Lord, we do not know where you are going. How could we know the way?" And Jesus reminding us that he is the way and the truth and the life. That all we need to do is to come, to follow. And as we've been hearing in our Sunday cycle of readings, you know, to put those gifts into the hands of the Lord, and knowing the many different ways that the Lord will multiply them and bring them to fruition. You know, I couldn't help but to think, and I have to tell you, as Dawn gave me a copy before of the eulogy, and as I was reading through it myself in preparation for today, the image that jumped out at me is a woman at 82 years old going parasailing. And I just thought, what a wonderful image for how to live one's life and to know that fullness of life. But I'm also one who has had the opportunity of parasailing a number of times, so I love parasailing. And, you know, the greatest moment in my life of being in Hawaii and parasailing, I will never forget. So, but to be able to do that, or was it a grandchild that she did that for, you know, at 82 years old, I'm like, I hope at 82 I can still parasail, you know, and, but to realize the things that she did in life. But she did that in many different ways in her life. Whether it was taking apart the engine and putting the pieces on the driveway, you know, whether, you know, it was just the joy of life comes through those experiences of one who truly does care and who loves and who brings that forth. And as you told me, as Dawn knows, I always like to know how they met and where they met. And this was a relationship that began at the roller rink many, many years ago. And so as they met on the south side of Milwaukee, roller skating, and to realize that how that friendship grew and their life came together. And they raised 3 children, proud of 12 grandchildren and 15 great grandchildren. And to realize that legacy that has grown because of the love that they shared and in so many ways. But she was one who nurtured her life. As you said, after retirement, she began to go to daily mass and, you know, to realize that it was the Eucharist. It was her life in which she was nourished with the Lord. She, as you said, she was a regular reader then. She made rosaries for the mission. She was part of a small Bible study for years and just readily embraced life within her faith community. And, you know, it was a life, too, that out of that ways in which she was nourished by the Lord, but that she gave it away, that, you know, the love that they shared, the love she received, she put that into practice to give that away in so many different ways. As you said, she loved to drive for the old ladies at church until she was 90. And so, but to realize, you know, again, that generosity and the ways in which she reached out. She would visited the shut-ins, she brought them soup, and brought them homemade bakery until she had her stroke at 91. And as you said, after Mickey died, she took over making the 10-pound meatloaf each month for St. Ben's meal program. And then when she couldn't lift it any longer, she began making 5 gallons of jello. But, you know, she was not giving up her efforts of reaching out. And as we heard about that great wife in the first reading, one who truly cares for the poor. And she certainly demonstrated that in her own life in caring for others. And then you were reminding me too of just the many ways in which she loved to spoil those children and the children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and took interest in everyone's lives. You said she spoiled them all with sugared cereal, even when they were not allowed at home. Ice cream for cereal for breakfast when she ran out of milk, and lunch and out whenever they were together. And even had the privilege of having 2 grandsons living with her as they attended UWM. But as you summed it all up to say, nothing was ever better than holding a new baby in her arms. And I think it's one of the things when I see my own mother during these days isolated. But I will tell you, when a few opportunities happen and they bring over the great-grandchild, my mother lights up And Edna was the same way, as was said, just to be able to hold and to be able to treasure that newness of life. She was a woman that gave witness, who showed that example, who lived love, who gave it away to others in many, many different ways in her life. So as we remember her, as those wonderful memories and stories, and I told Dawn before this, I want to see that parasailing picture sometime. That's the one thing I miss with in this COVID period. We don't get to see all those wonderful picture boards and that all the time. And to be able to witness and see that. But may her legacy live on in your lives, because it was her faith, and it was her family. It was a sense of having fun and living life to its fullest that Edna's example brings forth that witness of Christ, who says, I only give you one command, and that command is this: go forth and love one another. And Edna's response to the Lord, as was already shared, was, here I am, Lord. I come to do your will.